some kind of an oddity. That an Eved delights in his subjugation to the other. Where is such delight come from? This is unnatural, it would seem. So in explaining this, the Rebbe brings down the union that Neshamas Yisrael are rooted in Ak and so forth. To understand this in our simple terminology. Normally we think of everything as being based on worldly principles. Like we already discussed, why is there a house? Because there is space for the house. We don't think in terms of a house being preconceptualized. The reason there is space is in order to create a house. This is a very important principle. When a human being, when an intelligent human being with his seichel opens his eyes and he sees the entire panorama that we already discussed, there could be two mentalities, two ways to relate to it. One way to relate to it would be, what can I do with it? How can I use it for my benefit? The other way to relate to it is, why is it there? What is the purpose and the intent of the Creator for having created it?
They're putting up to protect the windows next door.
Oh, they're protecting?
Next door.
This is we can demonstrate this on a very simple level. As we already pointed out before. If someone walks in the street and he encounters something standing there, he could see this something as an obstruction in his path to walking. Or he can see it in terms of the reason it's there and its own purpose, the value of its presence. The difference between these two attitudes is obvious. It's really day and night. The question is, who would react to it either of these two ways. And this is what I was explaining. The person who is full-fledged presence in the world, who recognizes the greatness of the world in which he's present, and he appreciates being part of that greatness. So when he encounters anything in his path, he sees it as part of the greatness of the world he's encountering. Then on the other hand, what the Rebbe says is called an Eved Knani. One is totally self-centered, does not appreciate being in the great reality. He's only concerned about his immediate needs. To him, everything that he encounters is an obstacle. This is what the Rebbe says. Kabbalah Seir Malchus Shamayim. He's taking up a yoke, burden. In that itself, there are two very different reactions. This Kabbalah Seir from an Eved, to whom this is a burden. This Kabbalah Seir Malchus Shamayim, which is to whom this is AYIN and Ratzon. It's a delight. It's delightful to know that I'm part of a big world. And to avoid obstacles is not a problem at all. It is recognizing the greatness of the environment in which I function. And this is what the Rebbe says. What would be the difference between these two people? What makes one have one reaction and one makes the other have a completely different reaction? So we will start. I'm sorry, it seems like you're going back, but we're not. We just quickly. Second line from the top on page Kuf Nun Ches, at the end of the line. This koyach of recognizing the wonders of Kabbalah Seir Malchus Shamayim and the delight that comes with it. This koyach is uniquely present by Neshamas Yisrael. Why? Why is Neshamas Yisrael different than other creatures? Mipnei, because shemushroshim bibchinas Adam Kadmi. Because they are rooted. Again, rooted means that they are based. Further elaboration, their orientation is in terms of what is the reality? What am I standing? What am I here? Where do I come from? What do I represent? The Neshamas Yisrael's their sense of representation of what they represent in their presence is Adam Kadmi. What's Adam Kadmi mean? The meaning of Adam, the way it is preconceptualized in the Creator. Why is the Adam Kadmi created? Not after the fact that he is there. Adam Kadmi means Adam before he was created. Adam Kadmi, the way it is Adam as he was projected to be. Why is Adam projected to be? Why does the Creator project such an entity called Adam? The principle behind this projection of Adam Kadmon is that good, real goodness has a draw, has an interest, is naturally drawn to do good for others. It's called in Lashon Gemara, Teva HaToiv Leheitiv. The Teva HaToiv, the nature of the good, the nature of that which is inherently good throughout, is Leheitiv, is to bestow the goodness and to broaden it out to everywhere. This is not a new concept. We've already discussed this. Just to demonstrate it in a very quick way. A person is toiv, is the Meiberson's creation, and he's got the intelligence of a human being, which is a divine gift. What is the intelligence of a human being in contrast to all other creatures? The intelligence of a human being is that the human being sees the reality from a pure spiritual level. Animals, their reality is world. Human being, his reality is God. Thus,
is what?
sorry?
Human being reality is what?
God.
Ah, okay.
Godliness. How does this translate in a practical level? An animal, lahablu, as it is walking, and it can walk through slush and walk. The Rebbe once said in a Maimon, the Frierdiker Rebbe describes that an animal can walk over living creatures, and he wouldn't be bothered by it. Wouldn't be bothered by it. Trample on living things, and it doesn't bother you.
The air conditioner.
The human being could not tolerate such things. The human being, as he is walking and he encounters something of value, he will bend out to take it or move it away from his path, not to destroy it any further. Even though it's not his thing and he doesn't know who it belongs to and so forth, he just cannot bring himself to trample of things that are valuable. This demonstrates the principle of Teva HaToiv L'Haitiv. And even though, as I said, he can identify an owner of this, nonetheless, this is a beneficial thing, and therefore he cannot bring himself to trample over it. Because Teva HaToiv, the nature of that, of goodness, is L'Haitiv, is to increase goodness. Bring more goodness into existence. Why? What is this Teva HaToiv? The Teva HaToiv is because the toiv, that which is good, what is its nature? Representing his own source. Like we said, he's mushos and ak, mushos and that which is higher than world. In the purity of the divine purity. And this is why he is constantly tending to reveal the divine purity in everything. Something is dirty, he has to come down and clean it up. On the simplest level. This is the pshat in these words what the Rebbe says. I'm reading at the end of the second line for the 10th time, probably, but just after having discussed, hopefully we will have a real sense of what the word that the Rebbe says. This koyach, namely of Kabbalah Seyamach, of being dedicated to revealing godliness in the world. Why? Mipnei. How do they have? Why are they concerned about being godliness in the world? Why not concerned about their own experience? Mipnei, because shemushroshim bibchinas ak. Because they're rooted, they're based in that which is called Odom Kadmon. And the Rebbe pointed out the word bebechinas, the sense. Bebechinas means the sense, the reality, not of the reality of the world, but reality of where the world comes from. Why was the world created? Odom Kadmon. What was conceptualized in the creation of the world? The world on the conceptualized level in the divine was a pure world. It's not a world with evil and a world with pitfalls. It was a world representing the divine purity and divine truth. And this is why they're still tending to represent this truth in the world. Kabbalah Seyamach Hashemayim. Kabbalah Seyamach Hashemayim means I am here in this world, but I will act as if I'm in a higher level. It's been Kabbalah Seyamach Hashemayim. Okay. Now in the middle of the third line, the hine. The Rebbe is explaining now what is the meaning that they're rooted in ak. So what is that rooting in ak mean in terms of what the neshamas are, what the resulting neshamas? The hine, for behold, Odom Kadmon Nikra Raiba Dechol Raiba. Odom Kadmon, the pristine man, which is man prior to being created. It's called Raiba Dechol Raiba. And the Rebbe translates in Lashon Kodesh, Bechinas Rotzin Lerotz, the will for will. This is the name from Odom Kadmon. Odom Kadmon means, as we already discussed, the projection of Odom. Why was Odom projected? The reason Odom was projected is because there's a rotzen of a key to reveal godliness. It's called Raiva Dechol Raiva, rotzen lerotzen. In our Mishalim, on an extremely low level, but nonetheless, it's a valid mashal for us to understand this principle. The principle that we obey is discussed many times. That when a person finds a nice, neat piece of land, he immediately begins to conjure up how do you develop this land? What would you put? Would you plant a tree? Would you put a house? In other words, you immediately see what the potential for development of this land. The will for the will. This land is the will, the general will for willing all other kind of other things. Rotzen lerotzen. Umishom, and from there, from this madrege, was called the divine will that creates all wills, all rotzen in the world. Nimsha b'neshamas Yisrael, koyach zeh. From there comes to Neshamas Yisrael. Neshamas Yisrael are rooted in that. Neshamas Yisrael represent this will for the creation. And therefore from there, Neshamas Yisrael, after they come to be Neshamas, they get this koyach mibchinas bittul harotzen. What does bittul harotzen mean? Bittul harotzen means that they are capable completely ignore their rotzen as it is in the worldly context, what he should want in his current state. Rather, he is drawn to the source of rotzen, to the divine aspect of rotzen. Why was the world created in the first place? This is what he is drawn to. And the Rebbe explains it in simple terms. Bittul harotzen, he nullifies his own world level rotzen. And instead, leads us so that he turns out to have a rotzen, a will, called ma shehu ritzei yisborach. Everything that is Hashem's will. Can you imagine a human being in the world? He is surrounded with worldly entities and he lives in the world. What is his desire? He wants what the Rebbe wants. The Rebbe is above world. How does he come to this kind of a desire? The answer is because even though he is in the world, but he senses that his real presence is really Elokus. He is not rooted in worldliness. He's not rooted in the reality of world. He's rooted in the reality of God, of godliness. This is the principle of Odom Kadmon. And because Neshamas Yisrael are rooted in Odom Kadmon, what is their primary will? What do they long for? They long for this which the Rebbe wants. Hashem's Rotz. Okay, we are kind of completed explaining this in here. Now we're coming, so to speak, to the conclusion of this mimer. I hope we were able to expose it as clearly as possible. And we'll see, we'll come back next time, we'll allow some questions, maybe even now, if you have some time. I'd like we should understand all this labor that the Rebbe went through to explain in detail, rotzen lerotzen, bittul harotzen,
Rabbi
to
Paltiel,
what Hashem wants.
it seems like the mimer is continuing. It's just explaining a different concept over here. It's have a few more ICAs. after this.
Thank you very much. I
Sure.
believe yesterday was ACS. So now you alerted me to it. Thank you. Of
You're
course,
welcome.
now it continues. But this union in the Maimon, this principle, is now concluded.
You just said we're ending the mimer.
And then the Maimon, yes, or this union in the Maimon. Okay. This is ending the mimer, ending the principles that were started in this mimer. And explaining what this is about. In that respect, this is the ending of the mimer. And this is the principle, what the Pasuk says. Moshe wrote down, Meitzoehem Lamaseihem. This is when the Torah sort of concludes and describes the journey of Eden through the desert. And it describes how Moshe put down and noted all the various points that didn't pass during this journey. Moshe wrote down all the various points. In describing this notice and these notes of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah refers to it as Meitzoehem Lamaseihem. Now we're going to the detail of these terms. Meitzoehem Lamaseihem. Meitzoehem means they're stepping forth, where they come from. Maseya means the journey that they are embarking upon. Moshe wrote Meitzoehem, the starting point, where they're coming from. And then he also wrote Maseya, where they're going to. What is the journey about? The journey is not just to leave the place, the station where you start from, but the journey is to continue journey where you want to go to. As a person steps out of his house, so he's leaving his place of residence. But the reason for leaving the place of residence is Lamaseyam, is to continue on the journey further out. Not just to leave this limited place, but to go further where it's possible to go. Moshe Rabbeinu wrote down Meitzoehem Maseyam about the Shomesh Yisrael. This whole journey in the Midbar, this represents the journey of Eden to the world and to their Avodas Hashem in the world. What are these two things? Meitzoehem, their root, their source, coming forth. Lamaseyam, and then the journey that follows. So the Rebbe explains. What is the inference in the word Meitzoehem? And then Maseyam. The Meitzoyhem who Meitzoyhem is the Loshin or Kmeitzemai or Kmeitzemai, like the source of water. Source of water is coming from. That's Meitzoyhem. The only thing that we have in our world where we can speak in terms of the source of something is a wellspring. Everything in the world is all there. It's all set up. A wellspring is interesting. The way the wellspring is created in the world, that it's constantly perking out from its source. It gets refreshed all the time. Meitzoyhem is the source where it's coming from. Hu miloshin ukmeitzemai. It's the same, it's an expression alluding to kmeitzemai, the source of water. That's Meitzoyhem. What is that? This is, so to speak, a means of reference. But what is it referred to by the Neshamas Yisrael? Meitzoyhem. Vehu, thus, this refers to Mokeh Neshamas Yisrael. The Mokeh, the source of Neshamas Yisrael. Kmeishu Mushroshim, the Adam Kadmi. Meitzoyhem is the source of Neshamas Yisrael. What is the source of Neshamas Yisrael? It's Adam Kadmi, as we already discussed. Adam Kadmi means the projected Adam before the creation of Adam. Neshamas Yisrael were projected and identified in Adam Kadmon level. Adam Kadmon, this is the divine state itself. This is prior to creation. The Neshamas Yisrael are rooted in Adam Kadmon. Moshe. So he says in the Pasuk over here, Vayichtav Moshe es Meitzoyhem l'Maseyah. Moshe wrote Meitzoyhem. Moshe spoke about, not about their journey. He spoke about their source, where they come from. And the Rebbe explains, what's the relationship, what's the point that Moshe is the one who wrote it down? The answer is Moshe. Shehu Shushvina de Malko. Moshe is Shushvina de Malko. He's the usher of the king. In bringing together Yidden with neighbors, with Hashem, all joining has to come with an usher. Moshe is an usher, and Aaron is an usher. Moshe is Shushvina de Malko. In the usher, there are two levels, two ushers. The usher of the king and the usher of the Matronisa, of the queen. Moshe is Shushvina de Malko. Moshe is the usher of the king. Since he's the usher of the king, he's the one who brings forth and reveals the king, the Mebashan himself in the world. Him should be Neshamas Yisrael. Thus, his union was that he brought in the Neshamas Yisrael Mishor Shom U'Makoyro, from their very source. K'may the Atmos and so Baruch. The source of the Neshamas as they are prior to the creation, the way they are present in atmosphere itself, in the Likus itself, in godliness, in the godly projection. Bechinas Pnimius Odom Kadmi. Not Bechin, but it's called Pnimius Odom Kadmi. Pnimius Odom Kadmi means Odom Kadmi in its own reality, not as Odom Kadmi is perceived from a worldly perspective. Odom Kadmi as it perceived internal to itself. This is the source of Neshamas Yisrael.
Rebbe, I just noticed the time.
And what is it?
It is 8 minutes to 9. We looks like we missed 2 minutes of discussion time.
Okay, so we'll stop right here. And good, it's a good place to stop, and we have something to stop with. Okay, Mr. President, yours. Oh, Bora, you're on.
Shalom Aleichem. Guten Tag. Can I ask a question?
No,
Oh, well, back to the line.
you asked the
for you.
questions. I said no. Okay,
Yes,
now,
next.
now you got the answer to
Question.
your question, so let's get the question.
So if you could explain again the term, we passed it up already, Bittul Harotzein. How do we translate these words? Is it's simply the following words? It says Kol Mashahu Rotzeni Yisbarach. Bittul Harotzein means that he has no rotzen of his own.
Okay, here's what it means. If he has no rotzen of his own, he is not a real present, a real creature. A creature without a rotzen is not a creature. So what does bittul rotzen mean? The Rebbe already explains. Bittul rotzen means that he should want everything mashu retzeni is. Bittul rotzen means that the rotzen that should come along with his own being at his level in his world, that rotzen is eliminated. And instead, is replaced with the rotzen of the key. Why did the Rebbe create him? So let's understand this thing that yes, understand this at a little more depth. Normally we say there's a creator, how the creator perceives what he creates, and then how it translates in the creation. The creation knows only the part that he's a creation. Doesn't know the creator. He knows where it's come from, but doesn't have the creator in him. Bittul Rotzen is when the creation turns around and says, wait a minute. What is the truth of my being? Why am I really here? Am I here because I requested to be here? Or did the Creator request that I be here? And a little reflection tells him, no, I was initiated by the Creator, not by my will. I wasn't here to request my well-being. Therefore, he turns around and says, if the Creator is the one who requested my being, what was in that will of the Creator that identifies my being? Surely the Creator did not want to create me and I should be a meaningless presence in the world. If the Creator wanted to create me, that means he put himself into my being. Therefore, what is the conclusion of that? that the Creator put himself into my being and put himself into my being as I am in the world. This is that even though I'm in the world and I'm a creation, being in the world as I am in the world, I perceive exclusively, I focus exclusively on what does the Creator want in this situation, not what I want in this situation. This was Bittul Horotz. He's battle his own Rotzen, the Rotzen of the Created, and instead he has the Creator's Rotzen. I'd like to know if I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay, we got another 5 minutes. Come on.
When we said that Udam Kadman, in Udam Kadman is the concept of all side Shtalshalis or just of Adam?
No, also the Shtalshalis. Adam represents the Seder Shtalshalis in general. That's what whole Seder Shtalshalis is for the sake of Adam.
So all side Shtalshalis was conceptualized, and it's called Adam Kadman because it's for Adam, because he is gonna reveal godliness in world.
That's right.
Okay, then it was said Teva Toiv Lahaitiv. That the Teva of the one who is good, he wants to bestow his goodness. But before he's bestowing his goodness, with what is he good? If he's becoming good, when he is doing good to others, but when there's no others, what in Teva Toiv per se?
Okay. I thought that we gave it some meaning before.
Do you want this air conditioner or that one is good?
We almost finished.
Did you have that one go?
Okay. The word Teva HaToiv, as we translated it, means the nature of the Toiv, that which is good. Goodness itself. Not that he's good to others, or he's doing good. The Teva HaToiv, the Teva of that which is good.
What means good?
One second. Let me explain. The human being, in contrast to the animal, pardon me to being this kind of a comparison, but that reveals the point. An animal, the Rebbe says in the Maimer, he's walking someplace and he can trample on anything and not be bothered by it. Because he does not appreciate the value of anything that he encounters. The good, he doesn't appreciate the good. A human being, as he's walking and he sees things that are good, even if he doesn't know that there's an owner, he's not concerned about saving it for the owner. I think if it's a good thing, he will avoid destroying it. Because the thing itself is good, is valuable. Why is it that a human being is going to protect something that is good, even though its goodness is useless because there's no owner? The answer is Teva HaToiv L'Heitiv. The nature of the good, the human being, his union is to bring goodness to the world and to show the value of everything. That's his presence in the world. as we said, as the Pasuk says, Nas Odom B'Tzad Milik in the sin of Yirdu, the Odom is supposed to protect the whole world and give guidance and give spirit and purpose in the world. Odom is supposed to enrich the world. That's what Odom is about. That's the nature of Odom. This union that Odom is by nature protecting and developing and so forth, because he himself experiences recognizing what goodness is, and therefore he wants to promote this goodness everywhere.
Uh-huh. Yes, okay. Very nice. And this is what we're learning, that Moshe Rabbeinu was mamshech to nishmas Yisrael. The pnimis ak means not the just simple good, but godliness, which is the true
The
good.
source, that's right. Mitzoehem, from the source, where they come from.
And what meaning that he was mamshech this to nishmas Yisrael? Can this be explained, or this is something completely spiritual? That how was he mamshech this to nishmas Yisrael?
Moshe Rabbeinu is called Shushvina de Malka. Shushvina de Malka means just like a shushvin. A shushvin means an usher. He causes the meeting between the chosim kala and the shushvin. In this meeting, in introducing what he represents to the Neshama Yisrael, what he introduced, what he represents, he says, I have to you a partner. I have a partner for you. This partner is the king himself. Neshama Yisrael says, king himself? Yeah, the king himself. I'm giving you the opportunity to represent the king in your world, to act in your world in a manner that of the presence of the king. Let's project what is the difference in your home if the king is there or the king is not there. If the king is not there, you're only concerned about your immediate, the spoon of food that you're putting in your mouth. If the king is there, you make sure that everything around is pure. If you invite the king to you as a guest, you make sure not that the food that you serve him, but that the whole house is pure, is royal. This is the Shushvin and the Malk.
And how did he actualize to be a Shishvinen? Because he spoke to the Eden on their language?
No, he was told by the Mebishn what to say.
Uh-huh.
Shushvin and the Malk.
I know it.
Yeah, he was giving them a message from the Mebishn. David of Israel.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, that's a koyach.
This is Shem.
Thank you.